All right, welcome to Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Happy first Friday in October. It's a little chilly outside today. Of course, it actually feels like fall. My name is Lakina McGee. You follow me at Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and Kids Go again, the IG.
You can follow yours Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. We just want to remind you, we are live and live in color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Now we're officially on the air. Don't forget, you can download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And please subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And be sure to subscribe to War Media on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, that's at War Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're on to Unapologetically Fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza, we call it Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always go to the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. The best ones and the creative ones will be put up on the screen by Miss Lakina McGee. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly or stupid, I'm giving Lakina full power to give you fools the bill and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you, you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago live and available for you anytime, anywhere you want on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on the sports folder and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, Chromebook, or your PC, just head up the Google Play Store and download their Roku TV app and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, live and on demand.
And we will provide with everything you need.
Oh, you won't let me sing today, huh? I got you.
Well, you took away my little spiel, so I had to kind of spice up a little bit. All right, so we got a busy show planned for today. Of course, we will kick off the football Friday. We'll be talking some college football, couple of rivalry games, some battle between unbeatens, and let's see. Of course, our girl Christine Manika is back with our Week 5 NFL Week 5 pickskin pick'ems and a whole lot more. Of course, we'll talk some MLB playoffs as well. But first, we're gonna start. Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Some pretty interesting matchups in the divisional round. But of course, we'll talk some Bears and
2nd and 3. Fakes the give, fires over the middle, making the grab there and getting into Washington territory is Cole. Herbert, enough for the first down as they give it to him inside. High snap, collects it. Again, Herbert, tough run.
Ron Rivera's communicated with him pretty openly, so you're right.
Right.
Different energy.
Howell throws it, it's going to be picked off.
Young guy just takes time. It's examples like this of learning through this. Heck of a play, by the way, by the backup nickel, Greg Stroman, who's been out.
And those highlights are from Amazon Prime. For all you in Chicago and DC that don't have Prime, it was streamed on here in Chicago. It was streamed on Fox Chicago yesterday. So for those who got to get a chance to watch it on Prime, the Bears. I guess if you want to look at it from multiple ways, you got a 40-20 win over the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields. It looked really impressive. 4 touchdowns. For 282 yards. DJ Moore had a big day. 230 receiving yards and 3 TDs. Cole Kmet had a TD catch as well. Khalil Herbert, before he got out with an ankle injury, had 76 rushing yards. The defense played very good. They sacked rookie Sam Howell 5 times. had an interception. I mean, the Bears go to 1-4. They did the whole club dub. I see our buddy Vernon Farrelly here. Let me get his comment up here. Hilarity ensues. Oh yeah, club dub. Of course, the way they were partying and whatnot. I mean, they were partying. Look, they had one since last October 24th, so they almost lasted 320 some days, and until they're after their last win. I mean, look. Okay, Fields look impressive. Okay, the defense looked good. All right, but I kind of look at this and okay, you had a 50-50 chance to beat Washington. Okay, I mean, look, where was this 3 weeks ago? Okay, after the Denver game last week aside, where was this 3 weeks ago? I mean, I know people will say, well, it's set up to be a nice little run. They got easy schedule coming up, below light. Okay, look, let's say one game at a time. So this is what everyone's problem, Bears fans' problem. Take it one step at a time, take it one game at a time, because I'm sorry, I can't trust this team yet to go on a run. I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm just going to focus in on the moment, okay, Lakina. We'll worry about the rest of the schedule later. For the second week in a row, Lakina, we talked about how Justin Fields needs to get rid of the ball under 3 seconds or less. He did that last night. Now, I did watch the Amazon Prime version of the game. I thought, what was the view called? But it was the over the head camera view where they had the next gen, where featured the next gen stats. At one point, Justin Fields, when throwing the ball with 3.5 seconds or less, he was 15 to 25 for 3 touchdown passes. When he took 4 seconds or more to throw the ball, he was 0 for 3. So for the second week in a row, Justin Fields got the ball out of his hands quickly. And did you know there's something else last night, Lakina? They had some quarterback design runs for Justin Fields, in which we told you that they need to play to his skill set. We were banking for that last year, and they did that for the second half of the season on. But my point was on with those quarterback sweeps. Where was that on 4th and 2 last week when Matt Eberflus decided to skip the field goal in the fourth quarter? But I digress from last week. Back to last night. DJ Moore, that's the number 1 wide receiver. Memo to Luke Getsy, the Bears offensive coordinator. Please do that every game. No matter how the Washington Commanders, they played zone or they played man-to-man. DJ Moore was the fastest player on that field last night, and it was beautiful to see Justin Fields put the ball on the money. On the flip side, on the defense, especially in that first half, they stopped the run. They actually looked like an actual defense. Tyreek Stevenson, I know he had a couple of PI calls, but I thought he played a decent game last night. Jaquan Brisker played a nice game last night. In that defensive front, at least for last night, they got a couple of sacks on Sam Howell, and they stopped the run. Now, I'm with you on the rest of the schedule. We won't get into that, but as far as last night, I'm not saying this team is the greatest team of all time, but they played like a national professional football team last night. Despite giving up that touchdown to start the second half, they played like a professional football team last night. And it was nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was nice to see, but let's remember too. Yeah, I know we tout, folks tout that front four of Washington, with Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Corey Barton, and Janine Davis. I mean, they're decent, but the rest of that front seven is not very good. I mean, other than Kendall Fuller, I know his brother played here for a few years here in Chicago, but the rest of the secondary isn't very good. So, if you want to go by stats, I guess they're down there with the Broncos as the one of the worst defenses in the league. We saw how what Justin tried to do against a top 10 defense in Kansas City. He wasn't very good. So I would say, look, do this against top defenses. Then you know what? Then you might be onto something. Look, I know Leo Fields probably is playing like he doesn't give a care, and that's fine. You want to use that as motivation. Of course, Flus is on the hot seat. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But the whole thing about, okay, yeah, the defense looked good, but yeah, they were all dropping like flies. Herbert had no business out there after we'll see how serious an ankle injury is. I think it was a calf, but okay, look, you look at the positives, great, but look, I'm sorry that this. I can't look at this win for what it is. It's just that, okay, you're just a little bit better than Washington. Okay, great. I'm not okay, you're 1-4. Yeah, you want to party it up, Bill. Fine. Hey, look, you had one in a year. Look, I say live it up, but let's not haven't won the Super Bowl. So I think people need to kind of just slow down on that. But as far as looking ahead, look, Sid, how Bears fans are. Look, I've heard on various spots. on both shows, even CHGO as well. They're looking far ahead. They're telling fans how they should react. I don't like that. Look, we've seen this Bears team for many years now. We know the cycle of it. People want to use it as motivation. Look, they may have used, Dick Bucket's passing. We'll talk about it later. Our girl Christine Manika from KXRB. They may have used that as motivation. Okay, great. That's fine. But again, do this consistently, and then maybe we'll talk. But right now, look, you're 1-4. You can't change your record. Sorry, you can't.
Well, Justin Fields kept up the positive vibes last night. Him and DJ Moore had the greatest connection on the football field last night. And he said this to the Thursday Night Football crew, courtesy of Amazon Prime, following the 40-20 victory over the Washington Commanders in our nation's capital.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
I mean, yeah, DJ's awesome. From the moment he's gotten here, he's done nothing but work. We've thrown a lot in the offseason extra, but, I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, when you throw to him, the first day he got there, you could just tell he was different. So just those plays he made out there today, I mean, that's just a glimpse. He can do a lot more, and he really should have had, one more touchdown.
Yeah, he sucks.
I overthrew him on one, but, I mean, he's a great player, great person, and I'm happy for him, so happy for him.
Again, do this on a consistent basis, and then you'll be fine. Look, I know we're supposed to be, oh, well, yeah, the Bears won, woohoo, yay. But look, I'm sorry. I can't think like that. Look, we've seen the cycle of this way too many times. And I kind of feel like, look, we'll see how they play against Minnesota. Minnesota plays, they'll have 10 days off. Minnesota, they got a game on Sunday. But, okay, look, again, do this consistently. Where was this early in the season? Like, I'm sorry. I can't get my head around the fact that what I saw those first couple weeks. I know people want to go look at that. Tampa. Look, Tampa actually looks pretty good. They're off this week, so we'll talk about that when we do our picks. And okay, Kansas City, leave that aside. The Broncos, but look, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, okay, yeah, Justin Fields, you look good. Okay, great. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't shake that vibe of the fact that, look, you had extra motivation. We saw, look, Brisker was doing the whole yapping. I'm like, okay, dude, you're doing too much talking and not enough playing. Yeah, you're a DC yesterday, but doing more. Then you can yap all you want. Look, well, it's just. Yeah, well, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. No. Bears fans, what are your thoughts about last night's 40-20 win in our nation's capital against the Washington Commanders? Are you like Lakina, that you're pessimist, you want to see more? Or are you like yours truly, you're just living in the moment? You finally saw your favorite team win a football game last night. You play like a professional football team from start to finish. We'd like to know your comments in the comment section. You can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your answers or questions in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. Like I said, Lakina, I'm worried about the rest of the schedule later. But right now, I'm just living in the moment. And for the first time in almost a year, the Bears have finally won a ball game that looked like a professional team from 60 minutes. As of now, let me repeat, as of now, Matt Eberflus has saved his job. Now, will that be the case by the end of the season? Who knows? But for right now, I'm just happy that my favorite football team won. And I know for those of you that don't care what I'm about to say, I don't care. But DJ Moore gave me 59 fantasy points. Yay! Justin Fields gave me 35 points. Yes! Which totals to 94 points. I'm going to smoke my opponent in fantasy football this week. That's why I'm really happy. I just had to get it out of my system.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, like I said, that look, you expose that Washington secondary that's not very good. So yeah, you do what you're supposed to do. So, look, I'm not like, oh, okay, fine. Look, again, do this consistently. Then look, we'll talk. But Sid, you know how Bears fans are. You know how not all Bears fans. You know how some of them are. So people want to look ahead. Like, look, you should be. Look, don't tell fans how to fan. Okay, if you don't want nobody to tell you how you should fan, don't tell anybody else how they should fan. All right. Anyhow, of course. Well, no, look, I'm serious because I'm seeing like a lot of Bears fans who are like me, who are pessimistic. And people tell, well, you don't shut up, you should be celebrated. No, because we've seen this cycle before. We've seen how this team plays and have not played. Again, do this consistently, and then we'll talk. Right now, like live in a moment. Okay, but look, if they're gonna bus kick by Minnesota on Sunday, don't say I didn't warn you. But hey, what can hey, look, I ain't gonna say nothing. But with that said, of course, you can always comment, throughout the show. Talk about the Bears, and the Commanders game. Also, the rest of the NFL is scheduled for coming up on Sunday. We'll talk about that later on. But we're gonna go to the Diamond for a second. We're gonna talk some MLB playoffs. So we're in the divisional round now. I call him Bristy. Funny, good one there, Claude Brisker. Yeah, well, you should be able to. You know what? He should have an endorsement deal with Brisk. I think with Nestle. Maybe you should call. Have his people call. Yeah, have his people call the Nestle folks. Maybe that he can work with that. Going to the Diamond here. You listen to second, and watching Second City Sports on Sports Social Chicago. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown with you. We're gonna have Diamond Talk coming up right after this.
We call Manika.
My mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Friday edition. We're live in the living color right here on Sports So Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SID-KID80. That's SID-KID80.
You find my Kina McGee on the Twitter, X, I can't scroll again, the IG.
I think Lakina's cooled down a little bit from that Bears talk. But if you have any comments about the Bears' victory last night in D.C., still continue to roll it in at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. Now, let's transition into some MLB talk as the Major League Baseball Division Series kicks off tomorrow, Saturday. But first, let's review the Wild Card Series that took place early this week.
All right, Sid. These really didn't go far. I mean, they all of them, 1 and 2 games. So we'll start with Texas. Texas beat Tampa Bay 7-1. For a 2-0 series win, and it was really their offense that kind of got things going here. This is actually Texas's first playoff series win because all 4 of these teams that advanced. I mean, this is their first playoff series win for the first time since 2011 when they went all the way to the ALCS. So it was really their offense that kind of got things going here. And I know people rag on that lack of crowd over there in Tampa. There was only about 19,000 people there for both those games. I know we want to take it all into account, but this is a team that's been consistent and going to the playoffs. So it's a little bit weird here. But let me get this thing up here. But so what did you think? I mean, were you surprised about this showing by the Rangers?
No, because what I said on to you and to our listeners and viewers on this show on Monday, that the Texas Rangers offense would show up, and they did, and they took advantage of the Tampa Bay Rays mistakes. Tampa, their problem was defense. They had 4 errors in game 1. They committed another one in game 2 on Wednesday, in which, as I mentioned, Texas took advantage of it, and they ended up winning both those ball games going away. Adrolis Garcia had that big home run, which broke the game open on Wednesday to complete that 2-0 series sweep. Also, too, Nathaniel Lowe, I thought, played a great defense at first base. You also saw some of the other superstar hitters come through in the clutch, like Corey Seager. And as we said before, Lakina, that young group, this is where veteran managers come into play, like Bruce Bochy. He knows what buttons to push. He knows how to motivate players, and you got to have talent. That's what Texas had. They took advantage of the Rays' mistakes, and they walked away with a complete domination of the Rays 2-0 series sweep in one set of the American League wild card round. On the flip side for Tampa Bay, as I said on the show on Monday, they're starting pitching what cost them. Actually, it was pitching pretty good, but they shot themselves in the foot with bad defensive play and wild pitches as well. You saw their mistakes actually being exposed in front of our eyes. And the injuries to the Tampa Bay Rays starting pitching staff, it did come back to bite them in the butt, but it was Tampa's own mistake that shot themselves, that the Texas Rangers were able to put that series to rest very quickly. So the Rangers will move on into the next round, into the American League Division Series, and they'll take on the Baltimore Orioles starting tomorrow, Saturday. We'll give you our predictions on that series coming up. In the other American League wildcard series, it was the Minnesota Twins. Yes, the 87-75 Minnesota Twins. They took care of the Toronto Blue Jays by sweeping them 2-0. They take game 2 on Wednesday by the score of 2-0 in the shutout victory. But on Tuesday, they opened up that series with a big 3-1 victory over the Toronto Blue Jays. I think in this series, Minnesota just had enough starting pitching like Sonny Gray to get them by. And on the flip side for Toronto, their offense cost them, especially with runners in scoring position. You were able to barely squeak out one run in game 1. You were shut out in game 2. I didn't think they were aggressive enough on the base paths. I'm talking about the Blue Jays in either of those games. And for Toronto, we say this every year. You have the offensive talent in Cavan Biggio, Bo Bichette, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and some of those other guys, but really comes down to it in the clutch. They don't perform. We saw that last year when they got bounced out of the wild card series against Seattle. You saw the performance in the playoffs for them they get this year. It was worse than it was last year. Last year, Toronto had home field advantage, which it didn't matter at the end. This year, I thought that the Minnesota Twins, they were a weaker team. Thank you for winning the AL Central, but I didn't think that team would be that strong to advance in the playoffs. But in the playoffs, anything can happen. But for Toronto, this was more of a choke job in the postseason once again. It wasn't your starting pitching that was the problem. It was your offense, the lack of that didn't come through. And I think that was the number one storyline here. I just wanted to get Lakina's thoughts about the Toronto Blue Jays performance and why they were sent home packing 2 games tonight against Minnesota.
Well, wait. Well, let me go back to that Texas Tampa series for a second. Sorry, folks, did a little disappearing act here, but I'm back now. I mean, look, I think for Texas, I think their offense, I think really kind of showed a lot of heart and a lot of fight. And look, Evaldi, I know you've been raving about him all season long. I mean, he was a stud. Look, they needed him to do his thing for that game clincher, and he did just that. I think he did, definitely kind of like kept that Rays offense in check, and he did just enough for them to win that game down there in Tampa. And just a really solid performance by him. Evaldi actually became the 3rd Rangers pitcher in the postseason history with 8+ strikeouts and 6 walks. Joining Cliff Lee, who did it twice back in the 2010 ALDS on the road against the Rays. So something we'll see. Now, as far as Toronto series, very disappointing. I had Toronto winning this 2 out of 3. I mean, look, Minnesota, look, give them credit. I mean, they kind of, were sort of like right there. I mean, they were, their pitching was lights out. Royce Lewis was really good for them in that pinch there. So it was really, they really didn't have they really had no answer for Toronto. They never had the answer for Minnesota. You never thought you'd say that, but I think this is Minnesota's first series win in like 19 years or something like that. So yeah, so I think they're kind of on a mission, but we'll see what happens in their next series.
Yes, let's go over to the National League Wildcard Series. The Arizona Diamondbacks, we warned you about these guys on Monday, even though yours surely picked Milwaukee to win the series. The Arizona Diamondbacks trailed 3-0 in Game 1, 2-0 in Game 2, and they came out on top in both instances, defeating the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Wildcard Series. Arizona will now take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll give you our predictions on that series in just a moment. But remember on Monday, Lakina, I told you guys, remember this name, Corbin Carroll, your National League Runaway Rookie of the Year. He came up huge in both games, especially in Game 1 when Arizona was coming back from that 3-0 deficit. Also, too, their starting pitcher, I'm talking about Arizona, it wasn't the greatest, but their bullpen held it down at the end. As I said on Monday's show as well, Milwaukee's strength is their starting pitcher in bullpen, but it was a bullpen that let them down, and Arizona's stepped up along with their bats featuring Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte and some of those other no-name guys.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they do this against the Dodgers. I mean, they're very familiar with the Dodgers, but I think the veteran presence of those Dodger players and some of the experience of most of the Arizona D-bats. I mean, we'll be interested to see if that Corbin. Look, they know each other very well. I'm talking about the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. So look, Tommy Pham has been really solid too for them this year. So I think he's another he's a veteran, so I think he might help in that sense. But look, Milwaukee, I mean, look, I don't know what happened. I mean, look, they had a shot, perhaps maybe taking control of the series. They weren't able to do it. Their bullpen kind of gave them the business. So Arizona, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to beat the Dodgers, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be this blow. They probably may win one game against the Dodgers, but I think the Dodgers, like I said, the experience will definitely help them in that sense. But very disappointing performance by the Brewers.
Yeah. In the other National League Wildcard Series, the other sweep that was completed, of course, as expected, the Philadelphia Phillies quickly dismantled the Miami Marlins by the score of 4-1 in Game 1, and in Game 2 on Wednesday, 7-1, thus completing the sweep for the defending National League champs. The Philadelphia Phillies will now face the Atlanta Braves in the National League Division Series. This is a rematch from a year ago. Lakina, Philadelphia, offensively, it was no problem. They starting pitching, no problem. I think on the other side for the Marlins this has been their first time in the playoffs in a non-pandemic year in about 20 years. Their offense didn't come through their pitching. I know they missed Sandy Alcantara, last year's National League Cy Young Award winner, but it was an offensive lack of it that didn't show up.
Yeah, I think that the fact that also again experience, we're gonna be talking about that a lot this postseason experience. I think, having a lot of those guys that were there last year. And look, the Marlins, they really didn't have an answer for the Phillies. And I think that the Phillies sort of, kind of play like the better team. And like I said, the familiarity of it, them playing in the NL East. So the Philly did what you're supposed to do. I mean, it was a very, sort of like good performance. This is what you wanted. Sweep a team that you should have swept, especially a team that you know very well. And like their offense has been very solid. Their pitching was really good too. Zach Wheeler had a great game too, and I think that you're definitely going to need that as as the series go, as you get closer, you'll get more and more further into the playoffs. So this is going to be very interesting. It's going to be, look, look, I mean, a lot of those, like I said, a lot of those guys were there last year. So I think, they're not going to be too frightened by, especially when they have come up against Atlanta. Let's talk about the divisional series here starting tomorrow. Two of these games will be on FS1. The other two games are going to be on TBS, a little special show there. The AL will be on FS1, NL will be on TBS. They're the TBS is the official home of the NLCS. And Texas and Baltimore, this is gonna get very interesting because they didn't play too much this year. So I'm thinking that, look, I really like this Baltimore squad and how they match up with this. If you want to go by pitching, maybe Baltimore probably has the edge there, but this is gonna be interesting. But this could be one of those toss-up series, I think.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a battle of the offensive bats, as we talked about all year. Lakina, Baltimore can put up runs as well as anybody in Major League Baseball. Of course, I think he had the American League Rookie of the Year in Adley Rutschman. Of course, you have Cedric Mullins as your leadoff guy. Also, don't forget about Anthony Santander. He's had a nice they could put up runs as well. I'm talking about Texas, so I think it's really going to come back. I think it's going to be an offensive series first, but it's going to come down to starting pitching. Who's going to have enough to give for as far as starting pitching is concerned? Of course, Baltimore starting pitching is much better this year than it was a year ago. But the only thing, as we said, Lakina, for the last month is worrisome if you're a Baltimore fan is their bullpen, because Felix Bautista is gone for the rest of this year. I think part of next year as well with that injury. So who's going to close down games for Baltimore? On the other side for Texas, you have Adolis Chapman, but he's been shaky as well at times. So I think it's going to be an offensive series, but it's going to come down to pitching at the end. Well, especially in the bullpen.
Well, yeah, especially as the bullpen is going to be very interesting in that front. So should be a fun series there. And the other ALDS, it'll be Minnesota and Houston. Now, again, game one, of course, Justin Verlander will pitch game one for Houston. So this might be one of those back at it as he did last year. And Minnesota, I think, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Houston's going to sweep them. I kind of feel like Minnesota does have a shot to win like a couple of games, or perhaps maybe push it to 6. But I think Houston, they're getting better at the right time, so they may have a little bit too much firepower for Minnesota. But then again, who knows?
Yeah, all these division series is the best of 5. So I think this series will surprisingly, according to some people, will go the limit, because, like you said, I think the Twins will grab a game. Well, I think they'll grab 2 games in this series personally, but I know about the Carlos Correa factor now. He's the only quote-unquote enemy territory with the Minnesota Twins. We'll see what big impact he has with that Twins squad. But, we talked about it for the last couple months. The Houston Astros backed into the playoffs by playing offensive baseball, because they had injuries up and down their lineup, especially in their starting rotation all year. So they had to play offensive style baseball with Jose Abreu. It's nice to see him back in the postseason again. But with him, Yordan Alvarez, and Jose Altuve at the top of that lineup, they have to be the table setters early and send an early message to the Minnesota Twins saying that you got to come through us. You don't belong here. You're the babies of the bunch. We got to teach you a lesson. And we'll see what buttons that manager Dusty Baker pulls.
Yeah, I mean, Royce Lewis, they will definitely have to set the tone for Minnesota, and I think that's going to be that they will, if this goes 5 or not. So, or if they get swept, or if they get they lose in 4. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Minnesota does sort of give Houston all they can handle. So Gonna be interesting series there. Another series will start tomorrow in the NL. Both these divisional series are actually division rivals. Philadelphia and Atlanta, of course. We saw Philadelphia beat Atlanta last year in the playoffs. So Atlanta may have revenge on their minds, but Philadelphia is like, hey, look, we want to show folks that this wasn't a fluke that we got in the back in the World Series last year. So for me, this is gonna be these two teams know each other very well. It's going to be a game of chess. I would be surprised if this goes 5. I think out of the two various NLDSs that are featuring divisional opponents, this might be the best shot going the distance because I kind of feel like Philadelphia kind of knows Atlanta's strengths and weaknesses and vice versa. So really going to depend on if Zach Wheeler. I think he pitches in game 2, I believe, on Sunday. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can kind of set the tone. Philadelphia, especially with their offense. That's going to be another tone setter as well. Atlanta, we know Ronald Acuna Jr., he'll probably end up winning NL MVP. Matt Olson, and maybe a home run champ. They had some hiccups at times to talk about Atlanta. So this could be one of those days where this could be a little bit of a slugfest in this series.
Yes, and of course the Atlanta Braves had the best record in baseball with 104 wins, and you mentioned they ran away with the National League East. And they clinched that division very early on in the month of September. So Brian Snitker, their manager, had time to set his starting pitching rotation for this series. So like you said, both these teams know each other very well, what their strengths and weaknesses are. I think for Atlanta, can they get that mojo up going in the playoffs? Because you know as well as I do, Lakina, especially in the game of baseball this time of year, you can't just turn it on and turn it off. You got to come out and be who you are, be aggressive early. For the Atlanta Braves, with them having home field advantage, you have to set the table early, especially with Ozzie Obley's my guy. Then you mentioned Ronald Acuna Jr. I want to see what Austin Riley does, not with his glove because he's very great with the glove at second base. I want to see what he does with his bat. And those table setters at the top can set the tone for the Atlanta Braves lineup. It should trickle down to the rest because I think their pitching, I'm talking about the Braves, will be fine. On the flip side for Philadelphia, you mentioned Zach Wheeler. I don't think he'll be available to, I believe, game 3, if memory serves correct. So, but some of the other pitchers in that starting rotation, like Aaron Nola, who did well last year in the postseason, is going to have to step up. Michael Lorenzen, who they acquired from the trade deadline from Detroit, has to step up as well. Now, their bats are going to step up a little bit more like last year. We know about Bryce Harper. We know about Kyle Schwarber. But these guys like JT Realmuto, their catcher, and Trey Turner, who they acquired last offseason, those two guys had to step up and say, hey, I'm here to push you guys over the top, and we're not afraid of this Atlanta Braves team.
Be interesting to see what they do here now. The Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Look, Dodgers won the series easily, the season series, and look, Arizona gave them all they could handle. So I don't think this is going to be like, I don't think Dodgers are going to sweep them out of the building, but I kind of feel it's going to be tough for Corbin Carroll and Christian Walker and Tommy Pham and the rest of that Diamondbacks group. I mean, this is where again, experience will definitely help there. And look, I know the Dodgers have had some various injuries. Clayton Kershaw will pitch tomorrow, so it's going to be interesting to see. He's going to set the tone. I think we know he's had his struggles the last couple of years in the playoffs. So I think if you want to, exercise those demons, get those demons out and try to maybe set the table and let your bats of, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, let those guys kind of lead the way. And if you're the Dodgers, you don't want to get caught looking ahead, or you don't want to be, in that realm of, oh goodness, we gotta, we're playing, this is gonna be easy. We're gonna play our division rivals. No, take it one game at a time, take it one step at a time, and just, take it, just ease into it.
I want to talk about the starting rotation for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Lakina. Of course, Clayton Kershaw will go in game 1. We don't know who's going to go in game 2 just yet. But your top 3 pitchers for the men in blue looks like this: Clayton Kershaw, rookie Bobby Miller, and Lance Lynn. We all know about Lance Lynn's struggles with giving up the long ball. We saw that here in Chicago for the past 3 seasons, especially in the last 2 where he completely lost it. But I think it's going to be up to that starting pitcher for the Dodgers just to carry this team through, because you mentioned about the big names on offense. The starting pitching, and remember early in the season, Lakina, they had issues with their bullpen, and now those issues, it looks like so far has been straightened out. I want to see how they can perform under this kind of pressure in this kind of stage. We know that manager Dave Roberts has been here many times, but this is a very total different group this year. I know they won 100 games, but this is a completely almost new, different core than the team that they had last year, win 111 games before they got bounced in 4 games by San Diego. So I want to see how this starting rotation for the Dodgers, along with their bullpen, see how they respond to under the lights. On the flip side, for Arizona, of course, many people, like you said, may predict them to be swept out of this series because they're so young. On the flip side of that, Lakina, Arizona's playing with house money. They're so confident, especially after sweeping Milwaukee on the road 2-0 in the wild card series. They don't know any better. So they're playing on house money. No pressures on them. Everybody expects them to be home by the time we get on the air here on Monday, or at least on their way to being swept out of the playoffs. So they're playing with house money. No one expected them to be here. So they're going to go out there and play loose and freely. And sometimes when that happens, when you're focused and you're doing the fundamentals, you come out on top. We saw that last year with San Diego. We may see it again with Arizona. So, like you said, I'm not counting this Arizona team out just yet. Yes, the Dodgers are a better team on paper, but that's why we like sports, right? That's why we like watching sports. Things happen and settle fairly on the field.
It's going to be very interesting to see if we'll see if the game one sets the tone. Like I said, if Clayton Kershaw can exercise those recent playoff demons, this might be a quick series for the Dodgers. If we see the Clayton Kershaw we saw the last couple of years in the playoffs, this might go the distance. This might go 5. So I think that's going to be the key, tomorrow. If we see the Clayton Kershaw we know we've seen in recent, when they won the World Series, during the COVID year, like I said, it's going to be quick. Now, if we see their old Clayton Kershaw from the last couple of years, then this might end up, Diamondbacks can make it interesting. I think game 1 is going to be the key if you're the Dodgers, because you don't want to have to win, extra games unnecessarily just because, you might get, caught looking ahead, and perhaps maybe, you hope that Dave Roberts, has, and I'm sure a lot of those guys, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Kershaw, all those guys have been there. They know, what it takes to win. They've all got World Series rings in their resume, so they know what to do. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But look, you never know in baseball. Look, we see where things happen.
I want to ask you a question, Lakina, before we close out our number 1. Do you kind of get the feeling that this may be it for Clayton Kershaw?
I hope not, but we've seen some of the various injuries that he's had. I know he lost his mom earlier this season. I know he was out for a little bit there, and you can kind of tell that. I don't want to say that his mind may not be in it, but you wonder that is this it? Could this be his the last of it? Like, look, if this is true and that he does retire or whatever he decides to do after this, I mean, why not try to go out on top with another World Series ring? So he may be extra motivated. You just don't know. So look, baseball is very weird and funny at times. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, as I mentioned, on the flip side for the Arizona Diamondbacks, they're playing with house money. No one expected them to be here. Everybody expected, including yours truly. I'm not hating on the Diamondbacks. I actually respect for what they've done this year, but most 9 out of 10 people count them out at the All-Star break. Remember, Lakina, when they went through those struggles at the All-Star break, it was like, they're not going to make the playoffs. The Cubs should have that second wild card spot wrapped up. Of course, it didn't work out that way, but they're here for a reason. They're going to give the Dodgers all that they can handle. I like you said, I think this series can go 5 games.
Could be very interesting, though. We'll see what happens going into the schedule for these divisional series. All 4, will be, played tomorrow. Noon will be the Texas-Baltimore series. You can catch that on FS1 at noon. Minnesota and Houston, 3:45 on FS1. They may, it might be some overlap, so we'll see. We may have to go on FS2 or however Fox Business, however they're going to do it. On TBS, they remember the National League size on TBS. Remember Philadelphia and Atlanta game 1. That should be a fun series. And a game 1 of Arizona and the Dodgers will be after that. That'll be the nightcapper at 8:20 approximately on TBS. On Sunday, you got Texas and Baltimore, game 2 of that series. And game 2 of the Minnesota-Houston series, also at FS1 at 7 on Sunday.
All right, hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 straight ahead as you listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. # Football Friday will kick off hour number 2. We'll have week 5, Lakina, of college football to preview. Yeah, week 5. Can prime time get his Colorado Buffaloes back on track with the game against Stanford? Can Illinois actually win a winnable game on paper against Nebraska? And we'll have Christine the Queen Manika's Week 5 NFL picks and our tribute to Dick Buckets and a whole lot more. You're listening to Second City Sports on the Friday edition. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
No, I don't know, though. I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
And we're back. Hour number 2 of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago starts right now. And also, too, is the kickoff of our Football Friday segment. You follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter, X at KXRB again, the IG.
I'm Sid the Kid. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X in the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. If you want to have a question, a comment for us, you can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV.
All right, Sid. We're at week 6 of college football, actually, and yeah, it's already.
This season's going by too damn fast.
I know that's usually how it works, right? On when it comes to college football. So, but look, I mean, let's just enjoy it while we can, because good Lord, we're gonna be talking bowl season before you know it. But I digress. It goes way too quick, like you said. But yeah, just some quick notes here. New Mexico State beats Florida International 34-17. Jacksonville State outlast Middle Tennessee State 45-30 on Wednesday, and on Thursday, yesterday, Liberty edges out Sam Houston 21-16, and Western Kentucky beats Louisiana Tech 35-28 in a thriller. So very thrilling games there. Also, a couple of games. Kansas State and Oklahoma State. That's at 6:30 on ESPN. Both teams, kind of have been struggling a little bit lately. Both for K-State's 3-1. OK State is 2-2. They're 0-1 in conference play so far. Should be an interesting matchup here. And Nebraska plays Illinois also at 7 o'clock on FS1. Should be very interesting. We'll see what happens, but I kind of feel like Illinois is sort of one of those teams this season where maybe they'll be inspired by Dick Butkus. Who knows? But I think he still holds some of the defensive records over there down there in Champaign.
Yeah, Illinois and Nebraska are both 0-2 in the Big Ten on this season and 2-3 overall. Luke Altmaier, as I told you, Lakina, I like some of his attributes, but he has to play much better. He has 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions so far this season. Of course, Nebraska, Hiram Harburg, their quarterback, he leads the team in rushing, actually, with 270 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. But Lakina, for Illinois, can their defense step up and create a couple of turnovers? And number 2, can you get a consistent running game going? I think those are going to be the keys for the Fighting Lion night tonight. And should they decide to actually show up and shut down Matt Rule's improving Nebraska Cornhuskers?
Should be interesting to see. We'll see how Nebraska bounced back after getting hammered by Michigan at home last week. So it's going to be very interesting to see which team kind of responds here. The noon game on 11 a.m. game, I should say, on ABC. You got Oklahoma and Texas, their annual Red River rivalry game down in Dallas. And interesting here, in the last 67 years of this rivalry, they're 33-3. So it's basically tied since 1955, since the last few years of this rivalry. And also, too, this is actually just the third time that both Oklahoma and Texas are both entering the matchup 5-0. So this is going to be very interesting to see how, Oklahoma, some people say, haven't really played anybody yet. So this will be their first big test. Texas has been through a lot of the tests so far, being Alabama, being Kansas last week. So, Dylan Gabriel and Quentin Ewers. I mean, this could be a great QB matchup. We know about also their running backs and such. We talked about Jonathan Brooks last week, what he did against Kansas. But Oklahoma's got a pretty solid running back as well in Marcus Major. But it could be the defense that could decide this game.
Yes, Texas is favored by 5.5 points, and this game will be played in Dallas, Texas at the Cotton Bowl. The over-under total is 61. I think it might surprise you guys, Lakina. I think this will maybe go over the total. I think Texas will probably come up with that big play at the end. But for the Oklahoma Sooners, watch out for Andrew Anthony, their big stud wide receiver. I know he has only one receiving touchdown this year, but he's going to have a big game, in my opinion. And Dylan Gabriel, as you mentioned, he's having a great year with 15 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. So he's going to have to come up big in this rivalry game on the road.
Should be very interesting. This really could come down to who has the ball last. I mean, these two offenses and their defenses, can stop, make big stops when they need to. So it really is going to be kind of that battle. So I'm looking forward to this game at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Saturday on ABC. And the big noon Saturday game, you got Ohio State hosting Maryland. Some people are wondering, is Maryland is Ohio State on upset alert? I mean, Maryland's been really solid this year. They're 2-0 in the Big Ten. They're 5-0 overall. Tua's younger brother Talua has been very solid this year. So Kyle McCord, he's shown that he's been with back against the wall. So this could be very interesting. So I think Ohio State should be on upset alert at the Horseshoe.
Okay, we'll see what happens. For Maryland, they got to play near a perfect game. No silly penalties, no turnovers. The defense got to step up and force Ohio State to force a couple of early turnovers. I don't know if that's going to happen, but like you said, Maryland does have a chance. But I'm looking for a big game for hopefully future Chicago Bear Marvin Harrison Jr. So far this year, he has 17 receptions for 336 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. I see him having a big day for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Should be interesting there, and it'll again at the same time. Another good one here on ESPN. You got the Battle of the Tigers. You got the LSU Tigers versus the Fighting Mike Burma, as we call him on the show. Of course, our buddy from NBC 5 Chicago. We got to get him back on soon, Sid. The Mizzou Tigers both are Mizzou's undefeated. Of course, LSU have had their struggles. They lost to Ole Miss last week, so. Could be very interesting here, but I mean, look, I really like the Mizzou squad. They're kind of playing; they play very fast, and they could definitely give LSU all they can handle. Now, I don't know I don't know. I think this is a toss-up game in my opinion, but look, Elijah Drickett has his Tigers playing very well. His Mizzou Tigers, I mean.
Call me crazy, Lakin. Don't you think that the wrong team is favored here? Because on the line, LSU is only favored by 5.5 points. I get it partially because of reputation, but LSU is only 3-2 this year, and I think Brian Kelly's in trouble here if he doesn't win this game. We talk about Missouri, Lakina. I think they're a very good team, but I think the wrong team is favored here. I know that the home field advantage will belong to the Tigers, but like you said, especially after last week's disappointing loss on the road at Ole Miss, I'm not feeling LSU this year, Lakina. It's just something is just not right there with those LSU Tigers. I'm actually giving Missouri a very good chance to pull off the upset here.
They might use that as motivation. I mean, look, if you're Mizzou, you're probably like, well, wait a minute, we're undefeated. We're 2-0 in conference play, but yet LSU is a favorite just because of their name and their reputation. I mean, that's kind of you. If you're the Missouri Tigers, you're thinking of that as an insult. So they may use that as motivation. Look, I'm with you. I think it's a little weird that they're the favorite about LSU, but I think that's more because of name and reputation. I think Mizzou kind of, answer some fans, maybe get people to believe in them. We'll see what happens.
Watch out for these two names for the Missouri Tigers, Corey Schrader and Luther Burden III.
Yeah, I really liked how they, like I said, how they move the ball from Missouri. Wisconsin hosts Rutgers from the 11 a.m. on Peacock. Remember this, this game is going to be on Peacock. So all you Wisconsin and Rutgers fans, I know some people were not very happy that some of these games are going to be on Peacock, but welcome to 2023 sports media here. Going to the afternoon games, you got Wazoo, Washington State against UCLA. That's going to be on the Pac-12 network. We'll be interested to see how. If Washington State can kind of keep it going against UCLA, a squad where they were right there against Utah, but they just couldn't get the offense moving. And Wazoo, coming off that big win against Oregon State. So this is going to be very interesting. So this should be an interesting game here.
Yep, and also at 2:00 Chicago time on Big Ten Network. I think it's an HBCU school. Excuse my silliness. Howard, the Bison will travel to Northwestern to take on the Wildcats at Evanston here in Chicago. Lakina, does Howard actually have a chance against this 2-3 no one who wants to care about team?
Yeah, that's right.
Moving on.
Yeah, I'll say Howard's record, they're 2-2, so they're kind of like in the same boat as Northwestern. So could they make it interesting? Okay. Sure, but I don't know. I don't know.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. Let's move on. Virginia Tech and Florida State, on ABC at 2:30. Alabama and Texas A&M also at 2:30 on CBS. It'll be interesting to see how Jimbo Fisher, does against. We know that he did beat Nick Saban a few years back, so it should be interesting to see what happens there. Syracuse and number 14 North Carolina at ESPN at the same time at 2:30. And Tez Walker, he'll have his first start because he's been cleared by the NCAA. So it's interesting when the NCAA gets shamed into doing something. I always look for whenever they get shamed into doing something.
Them crooks.
It's hilarious. Well, look, that's a whole different conversation. It said Purdue and Iowa at 2:30 on Peacock. I think they might be doing y'all a favor there putting this game on Peacock because with Kate McNamara done looks like for the year, I mean, Iowa may have a little bit of trouble against Purdue. Like, I know Purdue themselves had their struggles this year, but I don't know. I mean, they may have some trouble. Purdue kind of get them here.
Yeah, I want to go back to that Syracuse North Carolina game. That, like you mentioned, that's at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow on ESPN. North Carolina with Drake May, he could be a hidden Heisman candidate this year. I know he struggled to start the year so far with 4 interceptions off of 5 touchdowns, but this could be another potential get-right game for North Carolina. Syracuse had the embarrassing loss at home last week to Clemson, and I know they're 4-1 right now. They had that suffered their first loss last week in ACC play, but I think it's a big game for both teams. I think it's a bigger game for Syracuse because of what happened last week, but I think this is a bigger game for Drake May to get his draft status up and get North Carolina back on track. I know they're 4-0, but they beat Syracuse here. I think this is going to go a long way for that team this year.
And I think having Tez Walker back will definitely help a lot as well. Give him extra guy to throw to talk about Drake May. So it should be interesting what happens there. Speaking of Clemson, they host Wake Forest at 2:30 on ACC Network. Navy, our buddy Randy Cross will be calling this game for CBS Sports Network as they host North Texas. Also at 2:30, Northern Illinois at Akron. I believe Akron's one of the favorites in the MAC, so that you can stream that game on ESPN Plus. Florida opened to bounce back from that loss last week to Kentucky. We'll get to them in a second. They host Vanderbilt. That's going to be 3 o'clock on SEC Network. Fox, the Big Fox Network, they got Kansas and UCF in a Big 12 showdown. South Florida against UAB, and we're going into the sort of the late afternoon, early evening games. Colorado against Arizona State at 5:30. This will only be streamed on the Pac-12 network, folks. So if you got the Pac-12 network, you'll be able to tune in to watch. See if Colorado can bounce back against Arizona State. Look, they're not going to a bowl game this year. Every game, look, you saw, they gave USC all they can handle a couple of weeks back. So, look, they may give Colorado all they can handle. So we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, Colorado could take that momentum that they created late in the game last week in that 48-41 loss to USC and build on that against a lesser opponent in the Arizona State Sun Devils. Shedeur Sanders for Colorado. Yes, Deion's kids still can play even though they have a bad offensive line in front of them. But regardless of that, Shedeur Sanders has 15 touchdowns with 2 interceptions this year. Xavier Weaver has stepped in very nicely in place of Travis Hunter. He has 41 catches for 490 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Colorado, you need to start fast and start strong. You need to protect Shedeur Sanders. Number 2, you need to run the football with some consistency. And number 3, your defense has to pick it up that much more. They started to do that in that second half last week in the loss to USC. Let's see if they can do it for a full 60-minute effort.
Should be interesting. Like I said, it should be very interesting to see how Arizona State plays, I should say, because this is going to get a little bit tough here. So we'll see.
You don't want a team like Arizona State to hang around. You don't. Hopefully you learned your lesson against Colorado State a few weeks ago. Just saying.
Just ask USC. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports from Chicago, Lakina McGee, City Brown with you. Go with the week 6 of the college football schedule. One of the big games, we're going to the night game, Sid. You got 6 o'clock on ESPN. You got number 20 Kentucky and number 1 Georgia. We talked about Ray Davis last week. Georgia, they've been sort of starting to kind of feel their way around, with everything, kind of getting everything going here. It looks like, Carson Beck is starting to kind of, get it, settle down a little bit. I mean, remember, he's only a junior, so, kind of, get it going there. Look, we talked about Mr. Davis, one of the top running backs in the country. And look, Brock Boyers, I mean, he's one of those guys. Look, I love this kid. There's this guy, big, strong guy at 6'4", 240, and just, kind of keep the chains moving for Georgia. And he might be one of the keys in this game tomorrow.
Also, too, if you're Kentucky, you don't want to fall into the third team for this trap. You do not want to be like Ole Miss, and you definitely do not want to be like South Carolina. What I'm talking about, have strong first halves and collapse in the second half. If you're Kentucky, you mentioned about their running back, Ray Davis, you need to run the ball and get, like I said, pound the rock, as Coach John Gruden would say. You pound the rock. You need to pound the rock with him, and that's going to open up the game that much more for Carson Beck. On the defensive side for Kentucky, get a couple of turnovers early because Georgia's offensive line is not that strong, and their offense is not that strong. So you mentioned Georgia, their consistency is number 1, but they haven't played like it all year. And you could take the lessons learned from those previous 2 teams that I mentioned that they couldn't finish off Georgia in the second half. you need to pounce on them early. I think Georgia will win this ball game. The line is too big, in my opinion, 14.5. But if you're Kentucky, you just stay disciplined and run the ball with some consistency. Kentucky has more than a shot to pull off the upset.
Mark Stoops will have his guys ready. So yeah, that numbers are way too high. So I would say take the under and that number. I know our buddy Hoodie, he's a big Georgia fan. Even he says take the under. So we'll see what happens here. Number 2, Michigan at Minnesota, 6:30. This will be streamed. Those are on NBC and also streaming on Peacock. So I know. Look, Minneapolis. Look, I mean, the Heineken Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. I mean, look, we know that place is going to be rocking. I think it's going to be very hostile, and I'm sure Michigan knows this. I don't think they'll have any trouble with Minnesota. Minnesota has not looked very good this year. I mean, they've had some bad losses. That bad loss against Northwestern, but I digress. They go for a little brown jug, so they want to keep that little brown jug. Talking about Michigan, so. Well, if they can kind of like just get it going, do like they did against Nebraska, go to a quick start, kind of, as Jimmy Johnson said back in the day, pour it on them and don't let up. And look, they got Minnesota got some pretty solid players themselves, but we've seen this season that they're kind of inconsistent. So, but again, they shouldn't have any trouble, but we'll see what happens.
I want to see how J.J. McCarthy, Michigan starting quarterback, how he plays in this game. I know he has 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions so far this year, but on the flip side of that, you would think that Michigan will do what you just said, Lakina, pour it on and send a message early. But if you do that, at some point, you can get complacent. Do you think they have a chance to get complacent going into this game?
I mean, like I said, if this was a couple of years ago, I probably would say that maybe, don't get complacent. But, it's going to get interesting to see what happens with this, because I kind of feel like, I don't know. I mean, it's sort of one of those things where you're just, you're kind of like, look, you always say they have a shot. I'm sure PJ Fleck will have his guys, pumped and ready. But at the same time, though, I'm just like, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think, look, they might give Michigan a little bit of a game early, but it's going to get very interesting to see what happens with that.
All right, at 6:30 p.m. on the SEC Network, we'll have number 16 Ole Miss hosting 2 and 3 Arkansas. Back-to-back weeks on ABC Saturday night prime time. The number 10 Fighting Irish on Notre Dame will travel to Cardinal Stadium to take on the number 25 ranked team in the country, the Louisville Cardinal. Notre Dame checks in at 5-1. Louisville undefeated at 5-0. Notre Dame is favored by 6.5. Lakina, another tough game on the road for Marcus Freeman and his guys. Do you see them keeping it going?
Look, I mean, that Louisville squad is really good. I mean, I think this will be their first big test. This is actually the first time that both Louisville and Kentucky are 5-0 during the same year, for the first time ever. So it's going to get very interesting. Look, Jack Plummer, who I keep checking to make sure he is not related to Jake Plummer. I know it sounds weird. I know it looks a little. Look, we checked on it a couple of weeks back, but yeah, he's not related to Jake. I mean, I'm sure he probably gets asked that constantly, but look, I'm sure he probably just but look, he's been very solid at QB for Louisville, and look, he's one of the reasons why Louisville's undefeated right now. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is gonna be the first big test. We know Louisville's got a very solid core. Jamar Jordan, is probably one of the best running backs that you probably have never heard of, so we probably don't know too much about. So it's gonna get interesting to see what Look, I'm sure they'll give Marcus Freeman and his Irish all they can handle, because I think they can throw the ball well. They can march down the field well. I think the key, if you're Louisville, is to keep Notre Dame's offense keeps keep Sam Hartman off the field. I think so. That's going to be the key here in this game.
At 7:00 on the ACC Network, we'll have number 17, the Miami Hurricanes. They'll host Georgia Tech. At the same time, on Fox, Mountain West football takes center stage in prime time. We'll have 4-1 Wyoming host number 24 Fresno State Bulldogs. This should be an interesting ball game there. And on the same time on ESPN2, Big 12 football takes place in McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. Battle of 2 and 3 teams here. Baylor versus Texas Tech.
should be interesting there as they host, each other here. Now going back to that Wyoming Fresno State game, I mean, this is going to be the first big test for Fresno State. They're undefeated right now, and I think look, you're facing a Wyoming team that has look, they pulled off a couple upsets. Look, they beat Texas Tech at home earlier this year, so this is a great like Mountain West Conference matchup for these two, and these two have actually played great games the last few years. So little Mountain West football for you on Fox. I'm glad they're getting some love. There on FS2, you got TCU and Iowa State, San Jose State and Boise State. That's a CBS Sports Network at 7. Oregon State and California, the Pac-12 Network, and capping off, you got Arizona and USC at 9:30 on ESPN. Hopefully USC kind of learned a lesson from last week against Colorado. Arizona gave Washington all they can handle, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond against USC and playing in a more reasonable hour. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And going back to which game, that Miami game for a second, they're coming off a bye. They shouldn't have Georgia Tech's been struggling the last couple of years, so they shouldn't really have no trouble with Georgia Tech, I should say, coming back after the bye.
Yeah, and Miami, I believe, is favored by 20 points. So I want to go to the Arizona USC game for a moment. How many touchdowns do you expect Caleb Williams to throw? I believe he threw 6 last week at Colorado. That team almost gave it away in their second half thanks to that Trojans defense, which was their Achilles heel a year ago. How many touchdowns for Williams? I'll say 5.
Yeah, I say 5 too. I mean, Arizona's actually pretty solid. They can actually run pretty well. Talking about Arizona, so like I said, they gave they kind of gave a little bit of a mini comeback against Washington, but last week, but I think that game was already kind of out of the reach. They were too big in a hole, so they shouldn't have no trouble with Arizona. Talk about USC, but I mean, Jesus, I don't know. I mean, look, this is going to be Arizona's last visit, to Los Angeles for a while. So I don't know. They may want to kind of make a statement. So we'll see what happens. But it's just like crazy. But yeah, it should be interesting though, and then it should be an entertaining game still, nonetheless.
Okay, and on the CW network tomorrow, for those of you locally here in Chicago, this game will be aired on WGN TV, good old Channel 9. We have the Marshall Herd checking in at 4-0. They'll visit Raleigh, North Carolina, as the NC State Wolfpack will host Marshall. They check in at 3-2.
That'll be at 1 o'clock. You want the CW network? Yeah, I think that's about it for the games. I know we got a couple more minutes here. This is NCAA Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakita McGee, Cindy Brown with you. I guess we can go through some of these NFL games. I guess since while we're waiting for.
I'm going to ask you real quick before we do. Your top 3 Heisman candidates right now.
Okay. Put me in my.
Outside of Caleb Williams, I know that's an obvious one.
Well, yeah, I'll say in no order. In no order, because I'm not gonna put this in order. I'll say Michael Penix Jr. who Washington's off this week. Quinn Ewers, and I'll put Ray Davis. I think Ray Davis, especially if he does well against Georgia tomorrow, I think he can definitely sneak that Heisman discussion.
I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to show up and have a big game this week with Ohio State host Maryland. I think he can get back into the picture, and also too, call me crazy, Lakina, but yeah, even though he'd probably be a hidden candidate for the Heisman Trophy, Jordan Davis, a quarterback from Florida State. Let's see what he does against Virginia Tech tomorrow. Right now, Jordan Davis has. Yeah, Jordan Travis, I should say. Davis, good grief. He has 10 touchdowns and one. Travis, he has 1 touchdown and 10 touchdowns and 1 interception so far this year.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It happens. Jordan Travis. Yeah, I think he definitely sneak up there. Look, I think that Clemson game, definitely helped him a little bit. We'll see if he can kind of get it going there against the rest of the ACC schedule. So especially that last game against Miami, that's really going to be the key and what he does, especially should both teams stay undefeated by the time they meet. So in a few weeks. So we'll see what happens there. Listen to NCAA Sports on Sports on Chicago. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown with you. I think our girl is with us, but I think she's having trouble with her Wi-Fi. So we'll give her a little bit of time to set up here. But real quick before we go to Brigham, we got about a little bit of time. But what do you think of some of the top games for the NFL in week 4? Oh, 5, I should say. My bad.
Week 5, yeah. I'm interested to see the first game up will be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They stayed in London this week. It's technically a road game, but they'll play the Buffalo Bills. Of course, Buffalo, after losing to the Jets in week 1, they've been the best team in the NFL for the last several weeks. But coming off that big win against Miami at home, do they feel a little bit of a letdown? I know they had to travel midweek this week to get to London. So could that be a letdown? We shall see about that. Of course, Jacksonville, they didn't play their best game last week offensively, but their defense helped them out as they defeated the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm interested to see that matchup. Of course, the Baltimore Ravens, they travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. That's the first game of that CBS doubleheader tomorrow. I'll be interested in that. Another hidden game I'm going to be interested in is the Houston Texans traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. The Falcons look like crap the last 2 weeks. Well, the Houston Texans, they have a franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud. He's been on fire since the season started.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. That Cowboys 49ers game on Sunday night, that's one of the games I'm looking forward to. The Chiefs Vikings game, that kind of intrigues me a little bit as well, because I kind of
That's
wonder,
your game now. No Aaron Rodgers in Denver.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if Taylor Swift goes to the Twin Cities. Although Mama Kelsey had some interesting things to say about that on today's show. We'll talk a little bit more about that with the girl Christine coming up. Our girls are all set to go, and we're gonna take a really quick break. We're gonna stretch a little bit, and we'll talk some more NFL. We'll talk to Christine about the Ryder Cup. I know she's got a lot to say about that. Of course, a Bears win as well, and a whole lot more. Like Keenan McGee, Sydney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Our girl Christine Manika and our NFL picks coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Keita McGee. You can follow me at Keita McGee on the Twitter and at Keita's going to get in the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. This is our last break for the show for today and for the week. So make those questions and comments look great with those fourth quarter comments. If you want to do so, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube.
All right, Sid. We're not going to actually see her, but we can hear her. So please welcome our buddy from KXRB, Mrs. Christy, the Queen, Manika. What's up, Christy?
Hello.
Hey.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the camera works, sometimes it doesn't. So this is just one of those days.
Oh gosh.
You can come out of hibernation. The Bears won a game.
I'm not getting too excited. It's the Commanders, and they won more games than we have at the moment. So I'm not getting out the confetti and the silly string just yet.
You sound like me, Christy. So you sound like me, Christy.
Well, look, it's great that they got a win, but here's how I'm looking at it. Did they get a win because Eberflus told them, all right, guys, my job is on the line here. You kind of got to get a win for me. Did they get a win because they didn't want to get themselves embarrassed on prime time? I mean, you don't know.
See,
I want to go back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, and then my other thought was, where was this the last month, them playing like this? Because you can't blame the coaching anymore with this, because the coaching has been the same throughout the entire season. So I don't know where the disconnect is.
Speaking of coaching, Christy, I want to go back to last week and what happened on that fourth down play with the Bears and the Broncos. Did you agree with head coach Matt Eberflus to not go for the field goal there to tie the game, or because he went for it and obviously they missed? Where was your stance on that regarding last week's loss?
No, I think they should have went for it. I definitely did to make it interesting and to send them into overtime for sure. I don't think that was the smartest move. So he had every right to take the heat for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they may have been playing a little bit, inspired because Dave Buckus passing away. We'll talk more about that.
That is so sad. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, it's died peacefully to sleep in Malibu. He has been living in Malibu the last couple of years. So again, we'll talk more about that after all this. We kind of do the pleasantries here now. We all actually did pretty well last week. Yeah, I mean, look, Sid and I, you had 12. Christy, you had 11. So
I did.
Yes. Yeah, so that's pretty. Yeah, right. So that's pretty good. And we're still like 2 games apart. Sid, down to Christine. So it's still very close at this point. So this could get very interesting.
So what's the ranking at? Is it Sid and then me and you, Lakina, are tied?
Yeah.
What do we got to do here?
I don't know. Look. I mean, the one time I didn't pick the Chargers, so look, and I think, yeah, right. I mean, of course, New Orleans, they killed us too. The Bucks beat them at home, so that didn't kill us too. But I think there's still a lot of weeks left. So let's don't get discouraged, Christine. There's still a lot to be decided here, and of course, this is the first of the bye weeks. The Browns, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Bucks all are on bye this week. So all of you, if you have Baker Mayfield, who's actually going to be the guest picker in Dallas for college game day tomorrow. So that should be
wow.
A couple years ago when he did a couple years ago. So it's going to be interesting. Geno Smith, the Seahawks and the Chargers defense, and Puka Nacua. No, not Puka, but look, if you have Justin Herbert like I do, I had to switch QBs. I got him on my fantasy. So adjust your fantasy leagues accordingly. And of course, we'll start off in merry old England at the second of the London series. The Jaguars, who of course back-to-back games in London. and they face the Bills. So we talked about this right before you came on, Christine. So you start this one for us.
You know, I had a tough time picking this one just because the Jaguars have been there for a week at this point. They basically made London their home. And the Bills, even though it's not that bad of a journey as it would be for majority of the teams in the league, it's still a journey for them to go across the pond to perform this weekend. But I am going to go with the Bills. I think they're just structurally a better team. Trevor Lawrence, I think, has not had his best season this year. He's kind of fallen off the wayside a little bit. And Josh Allen, historically with the Bills, they've always somehow came into their stride a little bit later on into the season. And I think we're starting to see that a little bit more now. So I'm picking the Bills this week.
I'm going with Buffalo as well. I know they're favored by 5.5, and this game can be seen on NFL Network at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Is this going to be a Toy Story game again?
No Toy Story. No.
Dang it.
Yeah, right.
no Toy
That
Story,
cool,
thank goodness.
Hey!
I saw clips on social media about when I watch a full 60-minute game with the animation. That's just me personally. But back to this game. We mentioned Buffalo not losing since that opening Monday night loss at the Jets. Of course, the Falcons, as you mentioned, Christine, they stayed there a week, and they barely beat Atlanta, which they're terrible right now. But Jacksonville needs to run the ball very hard with Travis Etienne. And like you mentioned, Christine, Trevor Lawrence must play much better. But you know how these London games can get crazy, Lakita. We talked about it last week, especially offensively. We didn't see it. We may see it this week, but I still expect Buffalo to come out on top.
And remember, Von Miller is questionable, so he might be, he might play, but he might still be a little bit limited. Of course, he could come out for the ACL. So, I'm picking the Bills as well. It's going to be a little bit closer though, just because of the fact that the Jags have been there a little bit longer. They didn't go back to Florida. And then they stayed there for. I remember Doug Pierce. I remember Doug Pierce to say that they're going to stay the 2 weeks. So. Probably smart by them. But I think the Bills, they're on a mission, I feel like. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are finding the groove, and the defense is finding a little bit of a groove, too. So I'll pick the Bills. It should be a close one, though, I think. The battle of the 2-2s, you got the Texans and the Falcons. So you start this one.
The Texans and the Falcons, okay. Atlanta's favored by 1.5, which tells you that Vegas thinks that Houston can pull off slightly a miracle here. I know rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud has looked good for the Houston Texans after his week 1 education against Baltimore on the road. The Falcons look like crap. Should I do it, go with the hot hand, or go with the obvious? I'll take 2 and call me in the morning. Just because they're the home team, I'm going with the Falcons.
Christine?
I was close to picking the Falcons. You don't know what you're going to get with both of these teams, and I'm going with the Texans. These are one of the teams that are surprising me this season, especially with CJ Stroud at the helm. He's been one of the success stories this season. I expect that to keep going.
Yeah, I think the Texans, just because, does anybody know where Kyle Pitts is? Does anybody know where he is?
No.
Is there is he MIA, or has anybody filed up? I don't want, look, because I kind of feel like they're not using him well. I know Desmond Ridder has had his struggles, but I think the Texans, I think CJ Stroud, I think he'll continue his hot streak. But look, that defense is playing a little bit better too. They're going to give teams a lot of fits as the season go on. So I'm picking the Texans. That the Falcons are just. Ugh. Last week against the Jags, that was just terrible. Panthers and the 0-4 Panthers against the Lions. I'll start this one. I feel like the Panthers are kind of like they're like the kind of that try hard thing. I know they might be in tank mode, which doesn't really do them any good because the Bears got their first round pick. So I'll give it short and sweet. I'm picking the Lions. I just say, look, they're on a mission. They've had a few games off to kind of relax after that win against Green Bay. They're going to be energized. They're going to be fresh and ready. And I think I'm picking the Lions. Keep this short and sweet.
I'm going to go with the Lions, too. If Bears fans need any sort of hope this season, look at the Lions team. they are some sort of a Cinderella story in the making, I think. They are definitely on a mission.
For those of you in the Chicagoland area, this will be your game of the week on Fox, since CBS has the doubleheader and the Bears did play on Thursday night. You'll get this Carolina at Detroit contest, and you all watch a Detroit Lions victory. Lakina, let me ask you a question without using Google. When was the last time Detroit were a home favorite of 10 points or more?
Oh, 10 points or more. Oh, gosh.
Since the Barry Sanders days? Maybe.
I was going to say Barry Sanders, maybe. Like early Barry Sanders when he first got to Detroit.
Yeah, I don't know, but the Detroit Lions are 10-point home favorites even.
Wow.
So they can beat the Panthers. They will beat the Panthers. Will they beat them by 10 points? I don't know, but Detroit will win the ball game regardless.
All right, should be it'll be interesting how that goes. Maybe take that over, I guess. We'll see. A good one here in the AFC South. Incidentally, our buddy Spiro Diaz will have the call here of this game for CBS, the Titans and the Colts. Christine, you start this one for us.
Man, I don't. And this one was another tough one for me to pick because the Titans do not look good this year. Derrick Henry, miraculously, after his horrific injury last year, he's looking pretty good, though, despite how the rest of the team looks. And the Colts, again, they're not looking too great. Jonathan Taylor miraculously appeared this week. Who knows if he's going to play? Well, it's just like Kyler Murray. It's like, he's coming back into the mix, too. It's you don't know where some of these players have been recently. But I this is kind of like my wild card pick. I'm going with the Titans just because it could really go either way, I think, with this game.
I told you that the Tennessee Titans are on again, off again team. They're inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I told you guys that the Titans will beat the Bengals last week. You saw what happened. As Christine mentioned Derrick Henry's name. Derrick Henry scored a rushing touchdown and threw it for a touchdown as well. They're going to need a whole lot, need that and a whole lot more. The Indianapolis Colts last week, their comeback attempt fell short in overtime, losing to the Rams at home. But I like that rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson. He has something going for that Indianapolis football team. So in a close one, I'm going with the Colts. Tennessee's favored by 2.5 on the road.
Oh, boy. I've been back and forth on this because both these teams have been inconsistent, like you said, Christine. I kind of feel like, you know what, I'll say the Titans. But again, this could be one of those weird it could come down to overtime again. But I think the Titans will do just enough to hold off the Colts. But it should be very interesting. I think Spiro and I, we're going to have he's going to be doing the game with. We'll have another good one to call here now. Back to this Fox game, you got the Giants and the Dolphins. It looks like Saquon Barkley is going to play. He's been cleared to play. He just practiced today, so it'll be interesting to see. Going to be a nice little element here. The Giants, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've been looking really bad the last couple of weeks. I'll say the Dolphins because I kind of feel like the Dolphins feel like they want to get that bad taste against Buffalo out of their mouth. So I'll pick the Dolphins.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins too, and Dolphins fans, good luck with Chase Claypool there.
Oh, yeah. Look, you never know. Maybe Mike McDaniel will be, maybe he's the kind of coach that he needs. We'll see.
Exactly. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he has a better story in Florida than he did with Chicago.
I need my guy Tyreek Hill on my fantasy team to step up this week because where was he? Like, we talked about this on our show on Monday. Where was he last week in that loss against the Buffalo Bills on the road? MIA, no pun intended. But
well, he gave you almost 72 points, Sid. So you should be grateful for that.
Yeah, but I needed him to do more last week, and that didn't happen. But it's a brand new week.
Did you 80 points?
He gave me some points, but not as much as I expected him to. But that was last week. This is this week. He's going to step up, regardless of the Chase Claypool foolishness. Tyreek Hill is going to step up. Hopefully, head coach Mike McDaniel realizes that you need Tyreek Hill with the ball in his hands. And I got Mr. A-Chain, the backup running back, from Miami on my fantasy team as well. So I expected those two guys to put up huge numbers for me. So the Dolphins will win this game, and they are favored by 12 points at home.
Ooh, that's a big
When's the
number.
last time that happened, Lakina? Since the Dan Marino days?
Probably right around that time. Yep. might be when Brian Greasy was probably playing quarterback there. I know it's been a minute, but the Saints and the Patriots. Say you start this one for us.
I'm going with New Orleans. The Patriots got beat down last week in Dallas. The Saints lost a tough run at home to Christine's Baker Mayfield's Bucks. So I expect the Saints to bounce back on the road this week.
Why are you calling Christine's Baker Mayfield's Bucks? When have I ever said, yeah, Baker Mayfield?
That's hilarious. This is too funny. Christy, who you got?
I'm about to shock the world. I'm picking the Patriots. And I'm saying this because I think Belichick is angry. I think he's frustrated. I think I think the team is overall frustrated. Mac Jones, he's not looking good at all. He's having, probably one of the worst seasons ever after coming off of such of a high his first couple of seasons in the league. It's just not looking good. What I think is going to happen, and I don't know if it's confirmed or not, I haven't looked. I think they could put Bailey in as quarterback. Worst
Bailey's
comes
happy,
to worse. Yeah. I would hope that would be the case because he's pretty good. And if not, this is the time that I think Belichick needs to put his nose to the grindstone because he is, regardless of this season, still one of the winningest coaches in the NFL. And he could get there to be one of the greatest, but it's not going to happen if Mac Jones is still going to be at the helm. He's got to get to 17 games. He's got to win 17 games. And right now, at the pace that this is going, it's not going to happen. So this is the time where he's got to put the pedal to the grindstone, so to speak. So that is why I'm picking the Patriots, because it's now or never at this point. And with the Saints, just like how it is with the Colts and the Titans, you never know what team you're going to get. And Derek Carr is kind of injured at the moment. He's kind of walking on a limb. So you don't know what you're going to get out of him either. So kind of going out on a risk and picking the Patriots.
Well, I guess I'm at that risk too because I picked the Patriots as well. I think because they're at home. And I kind of feel like you said, Christina, I think, look, Belichick's not very happy. There's already rumors that he might be gone after this year, especially if they don't pick it up. The Saints, we're getting the Saints team from a couple of weeks back, and we're getting the Saints team that lost to the Bucs at home. So I don't know what we're going to get. So I'm picking the Patriots, keeping it short and sweet. A good one.
No, I was going to say, if he does lead the Patriots, I'm all for Bill Belichick to Chicago as the next coach. Oh, please, we need a head coach. Okay. All right, okay. We need a head coach in that spot, not a coordinator. I'm off my soapbox now. Okay.
All right, let's move on. Okay, AFC North, a good one here. You got the Ravens and the Steelers. Chrissy, you start this one for us.
Easier said than done. I'm going with the Ravens. I feel bad. The Steelers just don't look good this year. Kenny Pickett, again, he's another young quarterback that does not look good this year. If anything, I think Mitch Trubisky is going to get another shot and be put back at the helm in that quarterback position. And who knows, maybe he's going to get a little revitalization being a leader for this team. But yeah, again, Ravens should have this one in the bag, I think.
Baltimore is 4.5. Sorry, they are 4-point favorites on the road. This is an easy one for me, Baltimore.
Oh, short and sweet, Baltimore. I know it's like Kenny Pickett did practice today, so he might play, but I just that Steelers team that's just they're just not very good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they got abused last week at Houston too.
Yeah, and also like Baltimore's getting some of their guys back. And I think OBJ practice, Marlon Humphrey practice as well. So they're gonna start getting some of their guys back too. So it might be the right time for Ravens to go on a little bit of a run.
Is it bad that I almost forgot that OBJ was even on the Ravens? That's how much we haven't been talking about him lately.
Yeah, well, no, that's not weird. Well, no, that's not weird at all, actually. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Social Chicago, Lakina McGee, City Brown, our girl, KXRB's Christine Manika, doing our NFL picks for Week 5. The first of the 3 o'clock games, you got the Bengals and the Cardinals. I'll start this one, the battle of 1 and 3s. I might watch this on my computer. I know the Cardinals, they're playing really good for Jonathan Gannon. I know they're tanking, quote unquote, but they've been playing very solidly. So they're probably like the best 1 and 3 team. The Bengals, I know Joe Burrow's been in and out with that calf. T. Higgins, don't know if he's gonna play. This will be a close one, but I think the Bengals will get off the schneid and win in a very close one. A very close one.
My gosh, my poor Joe Money. They're just not looking. They're not looking good this year. So I feel really bad. Those are one of the teams where you did not expect them to perform the way that they have been performing this year. So I'm picking the Cardinals this week.
Hate to say it, I'm joining you, Christine. I will pick the Arizona Cardinals. Actually, Josh Dobbs has actually looked okay as the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. You saw what he did in that second half against the 49ers, and you saw what he did a couple weeks ago against the Dallas Cowboys. That Bengals team, as you mentioned, Christine, that injury with Joe Cap, that calf to Joe Burrow's calf is worse than what people think. And also, too, that offense has not committed to running the football, and the defense has looked atrocious. So I think it's going to be an ugly, close game to begin with. Lakina, this may be your 17-10, 17-9 ball game. I know Cincinnati is favored by 3 points in a row, but I'm going with Arizona in an upset.
Yeah, it is. And I wouldn't be surprised. Look, look, Arizona's been playing very well. So look, I think they're looking really good, and Josh Dobbs is kind of keeping everything afloat till Kyler Murray is able to come back. Philadelphia and Los Angeles. I know the Eagles have kind of played like a little bit on the edge here. Of course, beating Washington in overtime, but I think they're going to be just enough to win. I think the Rams. I know Cooper Kupp looks like he's going to play for the first time this year, so that means maybe a little less Puka Kua. I don't know, but but I think the Eagles will do. They're playing at 3 o'clock, so it shouldn't be a times difference. Shouldn't be a big big difference. So this will be a good one, but I'm picking the Eagles.
Keeping it short and sweet and doing the Eagles. Fly birds. I know it's fly Eagles, but I like saying fly birds.
I'm going with Philadelphia as well. Don't forget, on the flip side for the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford is dealing with another injury, this time to his hip.
Yep. Something to look out for as well. So
I feel like he's had a hip injury in the past, though. No?
Yeah, he has. I think like elbows. I think his elbow. Yeah. I think or elbow. I think. Yeah. So that poor guy is falling apart. Poor guy. It seems. The battle of 1 and 3s. You got the Jets and the Broncos.
Chris, what do you think I should pick?
I really don't know.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I don't know either. Look, honestly, I don't know either. I mean, look, if you want to say that Bears win was a fluke against the Bears was a fluke, maybe. But I mean, Zach Wilson's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, so I don't know. Jesus.
Yeah.
So, let's go to overtime. Can we not pick anybody? Jesus.
This will end in a tie.
Yeah, well, let's just end in a tie.
To the Jets' defense, I thought they held their own against Kansas City really well.
Yeah.
They did.
I was really impressed with them. And secretly, I wanted them to win just so the Swifties can get a little disappointed. That's just me. So I was really impressed. So I'm gonna go with the Jets.
Uh-oh. Chris, are you all right?
Oh yeah, Chris said, yep, I would do that too.
Jets defense is the decider.
He said the Jets defense is the decider. Yeah, I agree.
Probably. Yeah. Well, I'll pick the Jets then.
I'll go opposite with you guys. Denver's a 2.5-point favorite at home, so I'm going with the Broncos.
Like this is really a toss-up. I don't know if that's a good thing, but it's really a toss-up. Okay, this will be the game of the week here. Of course, most of the country will get this game at 3:25. On CBS, you got the Chiefs and the Vikings. Jesus. The Chiefs.
Yeah, the
like you guys
Swifties
said-
will make this the highest rated game on CBS this year.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
the question. What are the odds of Taylor Swift going to Minneapolis? Are there bets on that?
I'm sure there is.
I'm sure
she has to go back on tour until next month, so she might be. Look, if you
And
listen,
Kelsey's birthday, Travis Kelsey's
Yes.
birthday was just the other day.
yeah, a couple of days ago. So I mean, just because I want nothing against the Swifties, nothing against Taylor Swift herself, but I want them to kind of feel disappointed. So I'm picking the Vikings in an upset. I'm
Are you
going for.
really?
I mean, look. I mean, they didn't look really good. Look. What can I say? Look. I mean, Pat Mahomes, didn't look very good. You wonder is this the hoopla around is becoming a little bit of distraction.
It honestly could be.
Look, if you saw Mama Kelsey's comments on Today's Show earlier, it tells you all you need to know. I won't say it. Just go on YouTube. But no.
Well, here's the thing with the Today Show. She really didn't say anything. I think I don't think the relationship's a thing. Like if it is a thing, it's going to fizzle out. Like it's not anything that's going to be long term. And I just don't know how I feel about it. It's one of the more out of left field relationships she's had. I'll say that. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely think usually Mahomes and Travis Kelsey are very much in sync with each other when they're on the field. But there were a lot of times on Monday night when they would get together and it just wasn't connecting. Like there were points where Travis went left on a route and Mahomes threw it right, and it just wasn't meshing for whatever reason.
So who's your pick, Christine?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it my turn? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Lupina.
No.
I was insulting you for your pick.
Oh yeah, which I'm okay with. By the way, I'll take
regardless of the disconnect between Mahomes and Kelsey at the moment. I'm still gonna pick the Chiefs because the Vikings don't look that reliable at the moment. Just because Kirk Cousins is still Kirk Cousins, we got to remember that as for in reality at the moment. Justin Jefferson, he looks amazing, and the Vikings need to try to do everything they can to keep winning the game so they can keep him in the offseason. But I just don't think if only you can see my face right now, because as much as this whole Taylor and Travis thing is a distraction right now for the team, I still think the Chiefs are going to come out on top. It's going to be a close game. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into overtime. But I can see them winning it too.
I'm going short and sweet, Kansas City, and Kansas City's favored by 3.5.
I took up a lot of your time.
That's all right.
All right, one of the games of the week here on the Sunday nighter, you got 49ers at 4-0 hosting the Cowboys at 3-1. Now, this should be a fun one here. I know everybody's happy about this matchup, despite Trevon Diggs' injury. So, Sid, you start this one.
The 49ers are playing their best ball of the season so far at 4-0, as you mentioned. The Cowboys getting that bad taste out of their mouth from a couple weeks ago. I think this is going to be an ugly, close game. I think this is going to be about who's going to have the ball last at the end. Not for offense, but for defense. And for that alone, because they're at home, I'm going with the 49ers. The 49ers are currently 4-point favorites.
I cannot wait for this game. This is my favorite matchup of the week. And it was also my hardest pick because both of the teams look so good. And I think this is going to be the future matchup of the NFC, unless the Lions have something to say about it. But I mean, this could not be a better picture for the next weeks to come for sure. I know how some people are going to say Brock Purdy could have a tough time with Micah Parsons on the other side, But if you look at the O-line, Nick Bosa, Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey, if you look at the weapons that Brock Purdy's got, Micah Parsons got nothing on them. So I'm going with the 49ers here. That is the dream team of the NFL right now.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short. So I'm picking the 49ers. Like I said, I just think that right now, I think they're the best team in the NFL. I think they're showing you why they're going to. I think that defense's girls are going to give Dak a hard time. And look, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, look, good luck trying to slow him down, especially without Trevon Diggs. So it's going to be very interesting there. And last but not least, in the Monday Nighter, you got the Packers and the Raiders. There will be a Manning cast. This will be streamed on both ESPN Deportes, also on ESPN2, ESPN, and also on ABC. Look, I don't know how this is gonna look, but Jimmy G looks like he's still in. I think he did practice yesterday. I think he's practicing today as we speak. So I think for me, God, I think the Packers will do. This could be another one of those ugly Monday Nighters. I think they're gonna have another ugly one here. So I think the Packers will do just enough to win this. I think on the road in Vegas.
I'm gonna go with the Packers too. I don't know what the heck this game is gonna look like. I really don't.
Go ahead, Christine.
No, what were you gonna say, Sid? I'm sorry.
I was just saying. Look, I think that if the game gets ugly either way, it'll look like what your screen looks like to us right now. Blackout.
That's true. That's very true. And I don't like going against my Jimmy G, but I don't like picking the Packers either. So I'm picking the Packers on that.
It's pick the Packers anyway, Sid.
Yeah, the Packers are a better team on paper. And no, this is not Aaron Rodgers, of course, anymore. Most of y'all know that, but just in case a few of you, Johnny Cup Latelys have joined us, Aaron Rodgers is not on the team anymore. But it's going to be an ugly, close game, like you mentioned, Lakina. I can see the Packers blowing them out, but they don't have that strong of a roster to do so. So I'm picking them to win the game by 6 points. And as of right now, Vegas is a 1 point favorite, so it's basically I had to pick them.
Woo!
Right. Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a toss-up. Definitely another one of those toss-up games.
Wild West. Here we go.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So that is your schedule for this week in the NFL Week 5. This is XC Sports on Sports on Chicago. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, and our girl Christine Manika from KXRB joining you. We gotta do this rapid fire, folks. Christine, real quick, what do you think about the Ryder Cup?
America needs to get better. Good job, Europe. That's what I think.
Oh, good. I like that. Short and sweet. And of course,
short and sweet. Do better, America.
I like that. Well, hopefully they'll listen. Of course, the passing of Dick Butkus, who passed away peacefully in his sleep in Malibu. He's living, like I said, he's been living in Malibu the last couple of years. He retired after the 1973 season. He finished his career with 1,020 tackles and 22 interceptions. He was named to the All-Decades team in both and also the 75th and 100th anniversary all-time teams in the NFL. And I believe he still holds some of the defensive records. Well, some of them is still over at Illinois. And of course, his acting, gig. Of course, Hang Time, My Two Dads, MacGyver, many other of his TV appearances. So he made a nice little transition to television, which, look, a lot of those guys did that back in the day. Fred Williamson, Bubba Smith. I mean, that was
Alex Karros on Webster.
Yep, I just, thank you for saying that, Alex Karros. Yeah, so he was part of that group that, kind of transitions from the playing field to, not just a broadcast, but we did some broadcasts for a little bit as well. But
Jim Brown, too?
Yes, the television, also too for acting. So a really very one of the fiercest, tough guys in the league. He was a Chicago native, and of course, some of the hits that he leveled out would not be legal now. So, but I know he was very vocal about that, for the last few years. But it was good to see. You saw the header there, the NFL, the header on their social media. It's now a picture of a young Dick Butkus from way back when. That was really cool. See how they might keep it through the weekend. But so guys, what did you think about Dick Butkus' passing?
So sad. I mean, literally a half an hour before the kickoff for the Bears, you already know he was probably swearing from up above at the Bears to get their butts into gear for that game. So maybe he was pushing them through. But what a Chicago legend. And George McCaskey said it best. He was and will always be Chicago's son. And even Roger Goodell, he came out with a statement about it. And again, such a sudden and sad passing. I loved seeing his tweets on Twitter. Yes. I thought he was a great Twitterer. You wouldn't think that about him, but he was so relatable even today for young players. So he will be greatly missed.
Yeah, before Mean Joe Green, before Lawrence Taylor, before the late great Derek Thomas, before I mentioned Ray Lewis, before the late great Reggie White, Jerome Brown, and Brian Urlacher, Richard Dent, the player that opponents feared the most on the defensive side was Dick Butkus. He was one of the original monsters of the Midway. He played the game the way it was supposed to be played, hard-nosed, physical defense. Because, like you said, Lakina, all the stuff that those players did back then, they won't be allowed to do it today because it's more of an offensive game. Unfortunately, him and his teammate, the late great Gale Sayers, did not play in one playoff game here in Chicago, which is sad, but it doesn't take away their credentials as Hall of Fame players. Just a couple of programming notes for you guys to watch this weekend. For those of you, of course, watching here on YouTube, our guy, Kenneth Davis from NBC Sports Chicago's Under Center podcast, he was one of the last people to interview Dick Butkus. So just type in Under Center podcast, Dick Butkus interview, and show Ken Davis some love. And he interviewed him a few months ago. So go look that up this weekend on YouTube on the NBC Sports channel, NBC Sports Chicago channel, or not just type it here on YouTube on your Google search, Under Center podcast, Dick Butkus interview. Show Ken Davis and NBC Sports Chicago some love there. The ESPN Sports Century episode of Dick Butkus, I believe, is on YouTube as well.
Yes.
Go look at that. And I think the Football Life episode as well, featuring Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers, I believe the full episode is on YouTube as well. If not, hopefully NFL Network will air it this weekend.
I'm sure they will. I think I think they will. I think they might, do that. They may do it like tomorrow night or something. So be on the lookout for that. Those who have NFL Network, and also, of course, you guys can watch them on YouTube. Of course, My Two Dads, Hang Time. And someone said he was on Murder, She Wrote 2. Someone actually posted a clip. I think that was one of his first acting jobs that he did. So you were definitely a very versatile guy, and also a great guy too. On and off the field. So just another legend from Chicago. That'll be both was able to play for his hometown team. So grew up in the South Side in the Fernwood area. He'll be greatly missed.
Yes, he will.
All right, so guys, what are you looking forward to this weekend? I know there's a lot of you guys. What about you, the playoffs, Christine? Have you been following that?
Baseball.
I'm surprised that the Twins are actually going somewhere. So I'm excited for I'm excited for the Twins fans around the Sioux Empire here. If it's anything, what happened with the White Sox when they faced the Astros in 2020, they'll be out after the first round, probably. And I'm looking forward to more Notre Dame football. I'm very proud of my Irish. They had one heck of a fight against Ohio State. Probably should have won that game, but they had 10 men on the field, and who knows what happened there. And I thought they had a great game, not a strong game, but a great game against Duke. And what Sam Hartman did at the end of the game last week and waited for the other quarterback to come out and shake it. I thought that was a very classy, great gesture. And I'm proud of my Irish. I'm proud to be an Irish fan, that's for sure.
So you think they'll be Louisville tomorrow night on the road?
Oh, boy, I hope.
Okay.
If they can have a strong show out like they did with Ohio State, I'm pretty confident with the Irish.
Real quick, Christine, with the baseball predictions, we just want to get your winners as the divisional series starts this weekend. Texas and Baltimore, who you have in that one?
Ooh, I'm gonna go to Baltimore.
Okay. Oh, Twins and Astros.
Astros.
Philadelphia and Atlanta, the rematch of last year's divisional series.
Phillies.
Oh, you got them upsetting the Braves?
Oh,
Okay.
I do.
Okay. And of course, Arizona and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Okay.
All right. And of course, also you got the WNBA Finals, best of 5, starting on Sunday. Yeah, starting on Sunday. Of course, ABC and ESPN got the dream match, and we got the Liberty and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces. So that should be a fun one there. So if you guys want to take a break from football, watch a little WNBA, you guys can check that out as well. And of course,
and the coach, I want to remind people, the Aces, Becky Harmon, South Dakota native.
Yes, of course.
And it's the first time in WNBA history that 2 players are coaching against one another. So 2 coaches. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
No. I mean, that's pretty big.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah. And the NBA preseason starts this weekend. Your Chicago Bulls will travel to Milwaukee to play the Milwaukee Bucks this Sunday at noon. You can watch the game locally here in Chicago on NBC Sports Chicago.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how the Bulls look. I mean, that's going to be
holding my breath.
All right.
It's pretty
Exactly. So it should be very interesting. So yeah, very interesting weekend. Of course, you got soccer and whatnot if you're into that. So a busy sports weekend coming up here as it gets a little bit cooler in various parts all over the country. With that said, you follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter, X, and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
They can follow me on Twitter at Manika_KXRB.
All right. Of course, you can catch Second City Sports every Monday and Friday right here on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channel. It's all right there for you. Of course, again, every Monday, every Friday for Second City Sports at noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sports Zone Chicago on the Facebook and YouTube channel.
And don't forget, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago, including this program, Second City Sports, on Roku TV.
Anytime, anywhere, and you will know we will provide with everything that you need. Also, you can also listen to that.
You won't let me sing, Christine.
Well, look, you gotta pay 2020 for their royalties. Sid, I'm trying to say you probably have the royalties. You probably have to pay.
I'm not singing the whole song.
Oh,
5 seconds. That's all you get. But again, of course, you can catch us at War Media, the audio version, wherever you get your podcasts. Google Play, YouTube Music, Spotify, all the other stuff is all right there for you.
Yes, that's WARR Media, PODCASTS. As Lakina said, we are on all podcast platforms, including that iHeartRadio app.
All right, so enjoy maybe not enjoy so if you're out west, I know it's hot out west, but the rest of the country, you enjoy the gorgeous fall weather, enjoy all the sports. For Sid and Christine, I'm Lakean. This has been Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago, and we'll see you Monday.
R.I.P. Dick Buck is your bear legend forever. Holla.